In this video, I'll show you September 14, 2023. A deputy with the Lyon County Sheriff's Office responded to a potentially suspicious bonfire near an apartment building in Fernley, NV. According to the Sheriff's Office, the apartment building was located in a so-called high-crime area, with records indicating that 80 calls for various criminal complaints have been generated by the known permanent residents of the complex. As the deputy approached the fire, he observed an individual later identified as James Gresham leaving on a bicycle. The residents who remained indicated that they did not know Mr. Gresham, and the deputy got back in his vehicle and caught up with him. The encounter that followed was captured on the deputy's body camera.
What's up, my man? Come here. Come here. Oh, yeah, no, put the bike down. Put the bike down.
Why? It's my bike.
Because I told you to put the bike down.
Why are you stopping me right now?
Because you're riding your bike with no fucking light on.
I'm riding it. I gotta
put the bike
I got
down.
A light right here.
Dude,
My
put the
light
bike
was right
down.
Here. I said, no, fuck
Put
that.
the bike down, James.
Supervisor.
Turn around. Put your hands behind your back.
No,
Turn around. Put your hands behind your back. I'm going to tase you, dude.
What have I
Get
done
on the
wrong?
ground, James.
What have I done wrong?
562 King. Get
What
on the
have I
ground.
done wrong? I've not done nothing wrong.
Get on the ground, James.
I've done nothing wrong. Am I being detained?
Get on the ground, James.
Detained.
Get on the ground, James. You are being detained, you f***ing idiot. Get on the ground.
I'm on the ground.
I'm going to tase you, dude. Get on the ground. Put the flashlight down.
Am I being detained?
Yes.
For what?
Put your hands behind your back.
For what?
Put your hands behind your
What
back.
am I being detained for?
For not listening.
Why am I
Drop
being
that
detained?
flashlight.
That's not an
Drop
articulable-
that
That's
flashlight.
not an articulable reason for suspicion that I committed a crime.
Yeah, it is. You
It
took
is
off.
not.
You still
Call your supervisor.
relax.
No, I'm not relaxing. Call your supervisor. This harassment's gonna stop.
Shut up. I am the
First Amendment
supervisor,
audit.
dip.
First
Shut up.
Amendment audit.
Yeah, try the Fifth
First
Amendment.
Amendment.
Shut
First
up.
Amendment audit. You have no reason to stop me right now.
Yeah.
None.
You're riding your bike with no lights on.
Right there in my hand.
It's got to be on the
On the
bike, dip.
It was on the bike. I just took it off.
No, I just watched you right away
You didn't
when I
write-
rolled up.
You didn't tell me to stop. You have no crime I committed.
562 King.
None.
One detained. 29 on last
Call your
aggression, first
supervisor.
James. You still on court conditions, James?
I want you to know I'm not.
No.
I don't have any court conditions. None. I've not committed a crime. You have no reason to stop me.
Yeah, I did.
This is
When I told
harassment.
you to stop.
I'd like to stop your.
Yeah.
I stopped when you told
Yeah,
me.
if you're arguing with me.
I'm gonna argue
And
with
I had to
you.
pull my taser
You
out.
have no reason to stop me.
Yes, I do.
None. What?
Yeah, James, it's called riding a bike without a
I
headlamp.
got a headlight right there.
It's not on the bike, James.
Your friend. Hey, I'm not on a bike. I'm in a parking lot, private property. What are you doing here?
You got any dope on you, James?
No, I don't. Now what? I want your
Stand
supervisor.
up.
I'm gonna stand up. Where's your supervisor?
Face away. Put your feet apart. You got any weapons on you?
Nope.
You got a knife on you?
No. I know this. I'm being detained for no reason. I want to talk to your supervisor. You're in violation of my First Amendment rights, and my Fifth, and my Fourth, and my Ninth.
Put your feet apart, James.
Yeah, sure.
Face the car.
Face the car. I want to see your supervisor.
I just told you,
No.
dumb.
Private property. I'm right here in my house. I live right there.
What's your date of birth, James?
520. I don't have to answer your question.
Yeah, you do.
I'm
Yeah.
not under arrest.
You are the subject of investigation, yeah.
For what?
For resisting right now.
What's my crime?
For resisting.
What's my crime?
Yes, resisting.
I'm not resisting.
Yeah.
What's my crime?
Yeah.
What do you stop me for?
I told you already.
Resisting.
I already told.
Stop me. I don't have to answer the questions.
Yeah, you do.
don't have to.
Okay. You're going to jail.
I have to.
Yep, you're going to jail,
For
dude.
what?
The deputy informs Mr. Gresham that he's going to jail for resisting. According to the state resisting statute, which is found in Section 199.280 of the Nevada Revised Statutes, quote, a person who willfully resists, delays, or obstructs a public officer in discharging or attempting to discharge any legal duty of his or her office shall be punished. Similarly, Section 197.190 of the Revised Statutes, which codifies the offense of obstructing a public officer, states that, quote, every person who shall willfully hinder, delay, or obstruct any public officer in the discharge of official powers or duties shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. In the 2024 case of Wilson versus the First Judicial District Court of the state, the Court of Appeals of Nevada held that in order to ensure that the obstruction statute did not violate the First Amendment, it must be interpreted as applying, now quoting, only to physical conduct or fighting words that are specifically intended to hinder, delay, or obstruct the public officer. However, the court clarified that the statute, now quoting again, does not require the use of force or violence, and that a person's actions, e.g., blocking the path of an officer or inaction, e.g., refusing to obey a lawful order, may constitute physical conduct that hinders, delays, or obstructs an officer. Finally, the court also noted that, quote, of course, whether a person's physical conduct actually hinders, delays, or obstructs a public officer is a question to be resolved by the trier of fact in a given case. Now, although this case only discussed the obstruction statute, in the 2015 case of V.S. First Judicial District Court of State, the Supreme Court of Nevada found an obstruction ordinance that had language very similar to Section 197.190, but lacked a specific intent requirement to be unconstitutional. Given the fact that both the resisting and obstruction statutes require an individual to act unquote willfully, and the case law interpreting the constitutional limits imposed on such laws, it is likely that a court would conclude that the resisting statute must apply only to physical conduct or fighting words that are specifically intended to resist, delay, or obstruct a public officer. Likewise, in the 2023 case of U.S. v. Garcia, the U.S. District Court for the District of Nevada held that the lawfulness of a police officer's conduct was an essential element of the obstruction statute, and that because the officers in the case lacked reasonable suspicion to detain a suspect, the individual could not be arrested for obstruction because, now quoting, they were not carrying out a lawful duty when they detained him. Now, we will discuss the legality of Mr. Gresham's detention later in this episode, but for now, it is important to note that if a court found the deputy did not have reasonable suspicion to detain him, it is likely that the court would also find that he could not be arrested for resisting. Accordingly, Mr. Gresham would be able to defend himself against a resisting charge by arguing that he did not specifically intend to resist the deputy, that he did not engage in physical conduct or fighting words, and that the deputy was not acting within his lawful authority when he detained him.
Some basic information.
My name's James Gresham. You know my name.
I asked you what your date of birth was.
I don't have to answer your questions then.
Yes, you do.
Well, I guess I do, huh?
Yes.
Because I'm being detained,
yes.
right? And this is an illegal stop.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. You're going, dude. I did about tase you. Is that your house?
It is.
Do you think that maybe you just answer a couple quick questions, but when you're rolling up here and then coming back,
you told me to come back, so I came back.
Yeah, and then I'm telling you to drop the bike. You're not dropping the bike, and then you push it. You're trying to tense up on me.
In my hand. I didn't do nothing on you.
Yes, you did.
I asked you why you were stopping me.
Yes, you did.
I saw you pull up here. That's why I turned around and come back.
Because when I roll up for this bonfire,
it had nothing to do with me.
You were there.
I was just talking to them, asking them what's up with the bonfire.
Oh,
and they were barbecuing.
Imagine that.
Did you stop and ask about the fire?
I didn't. You took off. No, where's this guy going?
I didn't have to stop for you. What was my articulate reason for suspicion?
I already told you.
To come here to stop me.
I already told you.
There is no crime. I'd like to talk to your supervisor, sir.
We don't have
right now.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, you can want
that.
Want one hand in the other. Dude, and there's like huge flames coming out. Yeah. I thought the building was on fire. Roll up. I'm like trying to ascertain what's going on. He rides off on the bike, and but it ends up being inside a barbecue, which I don't even know if that's legal. So I ride up. He's pushing his bike up here, and then it just went downhill from here. Now I'm debating whether to take him, dude, just for obstructing.
Yeah.
It's not really. So he's riding his bike without a light.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, is this private property? Like,
was it through here?
Yeah. He came from this side and went through here.
So it's probably Tracy Grant's bike, not him.
Mr. Gresham violated the law by riding his bicycle without a light on private property. Section 484B.783 of the Nevada Revised Statute states that, quote, every bicycle, when in use at night, must be equipped with a lamp on the front which emits a white light visible from a distance of at least 500 feet to the front. However, Section 484B.760 clarifies that, quote, the provisions applicable to bicycles apply whenever a bicycle is operated upon any highway or upon any path set aside for the exclusive use of bicycles, and electric scooters. According to Section 484A.095 of the revised statutes, the term highway, as used in Section 484B.760, means, quote, the entire width between the boundary lines of every way dedicated to a public authority when any part of the way is open to the use of the public for purposes of vehicular traffic, whether or not the public authority is maintaining the way. As such, it is highly probable that a court would conclude that the deputy did not have reasonable suspicion to detain Mr. Gresham for riding a bicycle without a light in a private parking lot.
Also, she's about it.
About what?
Him taking the bike.
Really?
That's hers. Says that it always comes by, grabs it because it just sits outside there. He'll ride it and then bring it back and take it without asking and all that.
Is that your bike, James? Okay. Now I'm like, should I just take it for obstructing?
I didn't want no trouble, so I left. The fire wasn't mine.
Well, when I'm rolling up and you're leaving, like,
Doesn't mean nothing.
sure
I
it
wasn't
does.
asked to stop.
What's that?
I wasn't asked to stop.
Because you took off.
I wasn't asked to stop.
Yeah,
I did
that's why I
nothing
came
wrong.
over here and told you to
There's
stop.
no reason to stop me. What's your reason for stopping me?
Code 4.
What's your reason for coming over here? I'm on private property, man. Why did you
Unfortunately,
come here?
flight from the cops.
A flight from who? Wasn't stopped.
I know, because you didn't give me a chance.
What were you
So I
going to
went
stop me for?
see what's going on with this
That
fire.
has nothing to do with me.
Okay. How do I know that
Investigate
if you're leaving?
it. It's not my fire. It's not my house. I don't live there.
How do I know that when you
Well,
take
the
off?
people live there barbecuing, right?
The deputy argues that he had reasonable, articulable suspicion to stop Mr. Gresham based on his alleged so-called flight. In the 2000 case of Illinois versus Wardlow, the Supreme Court held that although now quoting an individual's presence in an area of expected criminal activity standing alone is not enough to support a reasonable, particularized suspicion that a person is committing a crime, an individual's headlong, unprovoked flight upon seeing a police officer. When it occurs in a high-crime neighborhood is sufficient to establish reasonable suspicion that the person is involved in criminal activity. In reaching this conclusion, the court noted that, quote, headlong flight wherever it occurs is the consummate act of evasion. It is not necessarily indicative of wrongdoing, but it is certainly suggestive of such. Notably, the Supreme Court had previously held in the 1983 case of Florida versus Royer that when an officer approaches an individual without reasonable suspicion or probable cause, quote, the person approached need not answer any question put to him. He may decline to listen to the questions at all and may go on his way. However, the court concluded in the Wardlow case that their holding was not inconsistent with the Royer decision, arguing that, quote, unprovoked flight is simply not a mere refusal to cooperate. Flight, by its very nature, is not going about one's business. In fact, it is just the opposite. Allowing officers confronted with such flight to stop the fugitive and investigate further is quite consistent with the individual's right to go about his business or to stay put and remain silent in the face of police questioning. The court also responded to the argument that because there are innocent reasons for flight from police, flight is not necessarily indicative of ongoing criminal activity by stating that, quote, this fact is undoubtedly true, but does not establish a violation of the Fourth Amendment. Even in Terry, the conduct justifying the stop was ambiguous and susceptible of an innocent explanation. The officer observed two individuals pacing back and forth in front of a store, peering into the window and periodically. Conferring all of this conduct was by itself lawful, but it also suggested that the individuals were casing the store for a planned robbery. Terry recognized that the officers could detain the individuals to resolve the ambiguity. However, it should be noted that the Wardlow decision involved an instance of headlong flight, not a situation where an individual simply walked away or left the scene at a normal pace. As such, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which has jurisdiction over Nevada, clarified in the 2011 case of U.S. versus Smith that an officer would not have reasonable suspicion to seize an individual. Now quoting, had he simply continued to go about his business or walked away. Mr. Gresham's departure from the scene of the fire was not captured on the body camera, but if a court characterized his exit as merely going on his way rather than so-called headlong flight, it is likely that it would also conclude that the deputy did not have reasonable suspicion to stop him. On the other hand, if his departure was determined to be flight, the deputy probably did have reasonable suspicion to detain him.
They said they didn't know who you were.
That's what I'm telling you.
Now that I know who you are, but I didn't know who you were.
What I'm saying is this. What was your reason for stopping me? What was your reason for coming here?
That.
What?
Because you're trying to get away from me.
No, I didn't run from
Yeah?
nobody. I went home.
How are you going to get in the
came
house?
home. Usually she's home at night. I don't have to answer these questions. I'm not doing nothing wrong.
All right, don't answer the questions then.
Listen,
I don't
listen,
care.
Carl. I'm not doing nothing wrong. I'm on private property. You're harassing me. You're
I'm not
illegally
harassing you.
detaining me right now.
So I think she does live there.
Yeah.
Where was he at when he was he hiding? Was he in the grass or the paved portion?
He's on the paved portion, like right by that yellow tarp thing. Looked like he's walking up there. So I was like, hey, where are you going? At first I was like, yeah, you're riding a bike with no light.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know, dude.
But I don't know
if
if he's right there. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm wondering if just leaving when I roll up for like a illegal fire.
Well, it's unsolicited flight, and then that's your RAS to stop him to begin
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's unsolicited. It's not like you had your lights on and you did that. He just did it on his own, which is
Took off on his
it's
own.
case law now. So
Isn't mere flight not enough?
maybe like that one more thing.
'Cause I'm inclined to take him with him about all this.
Yeah.
All right, James, you want a supervisor? There's one down at the jail. You're going to jail, dude.
For what? For what?
Resisting.
Okay, I'm not.
Don't. What are you doing, dude?
I thought you-
Face the car.
okay,
I'm
fine.
putting your feet apart.
The court records are not publicly available, and the status of this charge is unknown. The body camera footage of Mr. Gresham's arrest was shared on several YouTube channels in February and March of 2024. And on March 10th, 2024, Lyon County Sheriff Brad Pope issued a press release responding to public outcry. In defending and justifying the deputy's conduct, Sheriff Pope stated that Mr. Gresham, now quoting, is known to have a history of resisting and obstructing law enforcement as well, the suspect of a multitude of crimes committed. Confirmly, he also stated, quote, I have made it clear to my deputies and to the community that the Lyon County Sheriff's Office will aggressively pursue those that choose a life of crime over our quality of life. Our deputy was acting within the mission and direction that I want all of our deputies to abide by. Sheriff Pope concluded by taking full responsibility for the way the deputy acted, as he was following the sheriff's direction, and including a detailed list of the previous law enforcement contact the department has had with Mr. Gresham. It is unknown whether Mr. Gresham has filed a complaint or intends to pursue legal action. Overall, the Lyon County deputies and Sheriff Pope get an F, because although the investigating deputy may have had reasonable suspicion to detain Mr. Gresham, it is questionable whether he had probable cause to arrest him for resisting, and he openly admitted to being motivated by Mr. Gresham's speech in deciding to arrest him. Additionally, the deputy maintained a contemptuous and rude demeanor throughout the encounter, repeatedly employing name-calling and profanity when speaking to Mr. Gresham. Although Sheriff Pope indicated that the deputy was following his instructions and treating Mr. Gresham with a complete lack of professionalism, I strongly disagree with the sheriff's contention that officers can and should be aggressive and disrespectful to citizens who, quote, quote, choose a life of crime. While officers can certainly keep their previous contacts with an individual in mind when approaching them, there is no excuse for using abusive and extreme language with a member of the public, regardless of their criminal history, this prejudiced mindset. That also can lead to individuals being unfairly or unnecessarily pursued and arrested, as demonstrated by Mr. Gresham's problematic arrest. In this instance, the department's contempt for Mr. Gresham was clear, both in the deputy's conduct and Sheriff Pope's statement, and this lack of professionalism appears to be a top-down problem in Lyon County. Mr. Gresham gets AB+ because although it is unclear whether he actually fled from the deputy, once he was ordered to stop, he did, and he was relatively compliant with the officers' orders while verbally challenging the validity of his detention and arrest. It is important to note that I cannot speak to Mr. Gresham's previous encounters with the Lyon County Sheriff's Office, and I have not considered any of Sheriff Pope's allegations about his previous conduct in assigning this grade. However, in this interaction, Mr. Gresham did not appear to do anything overtly illegal. Thank you very much for watching the video. Subscribe our channel for next video.